Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Tuesday morning, December the 17th. A few topics of interest that we'll discuss this morning include some excessive rain and snow amounts in the Pacific Northwest over the next 7 to 10 days or so, some accumulating snow from the northern plains to the upper part of the Midwest associated with a clipper type of system, and so several chances for accumulating snow across the interior sections of the Mid-Atlantic Northeast U.S. going through the next 7 to 10 days or so. It looks like the coldest air of the season so far will move into the Mid-Atlantic region, the Northeast U.S. this weekend into the early part of next week, and then there will be some moderation certainly by the time we get to Christmas Day by the middle part of next week. Let's start off by looking at the 10-day forecast map of snowfall. Again, this is between now and the end of next week, next Friday, December the 27th. A few of the areas of interest include out here the Pacific Northwest. First of all, the Sierra Nevada and Eastern California certainly get some significant snow. Again, this is over the next 10-day period, but boy, out here over those higher elevation locations of Oregon, Washington, and into the southwestern part of Canada. Look at some of these snow amounts, 75 inches. We'll see in a moment here. There will be just a flood of Pacific moisture moving into the Pacific Northwest, the southwestern part of Canada over the next 7 to 10 days or so, and that will bring significant rainfall to the low-lying areas and significant snowfall to those higher elevations, again, in British Columbia section of Canada, all the way down into those higher elevation Cascade Mountains of Washington and Oregon. Meanwhile, you have kind of a strip of snow here associated with what ultimately will become kind of a clipper-like of type of system dropping to the south and east later this week into the early part of the weekend, again producing some accumulating snow along its path. And all of this happens really with several events over the next 7 to 10 days or so. Significant snowfall in those interior sections of the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast U.S. Now, this is the liquid equivalent precipitation over that same period, the next 10 days between now and next Friday morning. And look at all this out here. Again, a Pacific Ocean jet will just flood the Pacific Northwest, the southwestern part of Canada with moisture over the next 7 to 10 days or so. These kind of colors here are a foot or more on the scale here. So again, those higher elevation locations will get tremendous snowfall amounts, significant rainfall for the lower elevation locations. Not a lot in terms of liquid equivalent precipitation here from the south central part of Canada into the upper part of the Midwest, but this will be in the form of snow, so it certainly can produce some significant accumulating snow, let's say 3 to 6 inches or so late this week into the early part of the upcoming weekend. And quite a bit of this will be in the form of snow across the interior sections of the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast U.S. Again, this is going through the next 7 to 10 days. Well, let's start off with a look at the Pacific Ocean here. This is the North Pacific Ocean. Just want to kind of point out that upper level jet stream over the next week or so. We'll go through the maps here. This is using last night's 0Z run of the GFS. And remember, it said tremendous amount of moisture will flood into the southwestern part of Canada, Washington, Oregon, even into the northern part of California. You can see even starting off the day here today, and we're looking at the 250 millibar winds. These are winds at the upper level of the atmosphere, and just a tremendous jet streak out here across much of the Pacific Ocean. But watch as we move forward, and again, kind of focus on this area right here, because this is what we call an atmospheric river, just a flood of Pacific moisture, really day after day over the next week or so. It just pummels Washington, Oregon, British Columbia. As you can see, those lines here kind of show you which way that flow is going, right into the west coast of Canada, the northwest coast of the U.S. This is now all the way in the latter part of the weekend, and just a continuation of that Pacific Ocean moisture, even enhances somewhat by the time we get to the early part of next week, with a very strong jet streak here cutting across the northern Pacific Ocean here a week from tomorrow. This is the middle of next week, just an extended area of moisture flowing from west to east right into the Washington, Oregon, British Columbia coastal regions here, again producing tremendous rainfall in the low-lying areas and substantial snow in those higher elevation locations. This is all the way out now into the end of next week, Friday, December 27th, a continuation of that atmospheric river into the Pacific Northwest. Now, we've talked about the possibility of some snow, let's say in the Friday night, Saturday time frame for the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast U.S. We have a clipper system that will be driving to the south and east across the Great Lakes. At the same time, strong low pressure will form off the Mid-Atlantic coastline. It looks like these two systems will not quite connect in time to produce anything significant in terms of snowfall across the Mid-Atlantic region. Again, later Friday night into Saturday. But I'll tell you what, it's still a close call, something to closely monitor over the next couple of days, and certainly there will be some snow shower activity. But let's take a look at the upper level pattern first. And again, we'll focus in on the northeastern part of the nation, the Great Lakes as well. This is at the 500 millibar level, the height anomalies going forward. A lot of ridging right now on Tuesday across the nation here, shown in orange. And kind of an interesting pattern here where we'll see this kind of a clipper system showing up here, a little bit of a trough. You can see that trough showing up here right in this region by Thursday across the northern plains, and it's associated with that surface low that will bring some snow to the northern plains all the way into the upper part of the Midwest. It drives to the South Andes and deepens, and here we go by Friday morning. Notice also a little bit of a trough here out over the open waters of the southwestern Atlantic. So you have kind of two separate systems. This continues to drive to the south and east, and this expands so that by the time we get to, let's say, the early part of the upcoming weekend, that will be a pretty strong low just off the coastline here. I shouldn't say just off, a decent amount of distance between the East Coast and this strong surface low out over the open waters of the western Atlantic. But again, still a relatively close call here on these two systems kind of connecting, kind of merging. And here we see kind of an explosion of that upper level trough right along the eastern seaboard by Friday night into the day on Saturday. And you may say, well, the picture is over here at this point because it's off the coast, but no, it tends to kind of retrograde around here. You can kind of see kind of a piece of that trough extending back as late Saturday night, early Sunday time frame. So this is still something to monitor over the next couple of days. Finally moves away by early next week, and we get some warming setting up over the upper part of the Midwest, the Great Lakes, and some moderation in temperatures certainly slides to the East Coast by Wednesday, Christmas Day of next week. Well, let's wrap up with the surface maps using the 0Z run of the GFS. Still an active pattern. We're just kind of getting rid of one system, and another one will move in right here later tomorrow into tomorrow night. This one has a cold front associated with it. There'll be some rainfall in the I-95 corridor region, certainly later Wednesday into Wednesday night, early Thursday. But upstate PA, upstate New York, interior New England certainly can get some accumulating snow out of this system late Wednesday night into early Thursday. That's part of that pattern that will bring significant snowfall to the interior Mid-Atlantic, interior Northeast over the next week to 10 days or so. A decent storm off the coast of Maine by early Thursday morning. Now, some colder air certainly moves in after a couple of mild days in the Mid-Atlantic region, especially today. This afternoon, temperatures will climb to 60 degrees in places like D.C. Some colder air starts to move in on Thursday, but that's not going to be the coldest air in the sequence of events here. The coldest air of the season so far looks like it'll move into the northeastern quadrant of the nation during the upcoming weekend. But one frontal system comes through by Thursday, and then we'll notice we have this clipper-like of system that drops from Alberta, part of Canada, down across the northern plains, producing a few inches of snow, maybe 4 or 5 inches of snow in some cases, into the upper part of the Midwest by late Thursday. Now, notice also low pressure starting to form over the southwestern Atlantic. So you have this clipper dropping to the south and east across the Great Lakes by late Thursday into Thursday night. And then this low starting to form, and this will move generally in this fashion late in the week, early part of the upcoming weekend. Now let's go forward in time. Again, it looks like this intensifies, and there's some snow shower activity late Friday night in the Mid-Atlantic region with that weakening clipper system. But this system ends up kind of taking over, not quite merging with the clipper at this time. But again, remember, there's that upper level trough that kind of extends back over the upcoming weekend into the Mid-Atlantic region. So certainly there can be some snow shower activity in the Mid-Atlantic region, potentially even a little bit more than just snow shower activity. We'll continue to focus in on this over the next couple of days. But that low, as it intensifies, moves away during the early part of the upcoming weekend, will force in another cold air mass, the coldest air of the season so far for the Mid-Atlantic region. Certainly by Saturday night, Sunday night, early Monday, some of the lowest temperatures so far in the Mid-Atlantic region. Penn State, by the way, has a playoff game on Saturday at noon. It will be cold. There will be a breeze as well, making it feel even colder than the actual air temperatures, probably only reaching the middle 20s for highs during that game, during the afternoon on Saturday in State College. And again, stiff breeze will make it feel even colder than that, and probably down into the single digits in places like State College by early Sunday morning, potentially the lower teens in the suburbs along the I-95 corridor region early Sunday, and again early Monday in the suburbs north and west of D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. That very cold air hangs on into the day on Monday. Here we go into the Monday morning forecast map, all anchored by very strong high pressure over the southeastern part of Canada. But on the backside of that high, some warmer air is starting to pour northward from the south central states to the northern plains, and certainly some moderation in temperatures will make its way all the way to the East Coast by the middle of next week, which happens to be Christmas Day. Again, next Wednesday, some moderation along the eastern seaboard. But before we get there, some of the coldest air so far moves in for this upcoming weekend into the Mid-Atlantic, into the northeast U.S. So quite an active pattern across the nation, and excessive snow and rain out in the Pacific Northwest, southwestern part of Canada. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, this has been meteorologist Paul Dorian.